Hey, how are you? I'm Slice of Otaku, and I want to ask you, how many gems is too many gems? At what point does the inclusion or addition of new gems become excessive, unnecessary, or even unwanted? Because considering we are now homeworld bound, we are bound to see a number of gems we have never encountered before. And so with all these new gems being introduced at once, and also us having to learn more about homeworld and the diamonds accordingly, will we truly be able to dedicate time and focus to these new characters? And my main concern is with the formula of Steven Universe. Can it hold up with this many characters to take care of? Because Steven Universe is a show that definitely takes the time out to flesh out these characters, to give you a bit of deposition even into the most minuscule of characters. So if we're getting to know Mr. Smiley better, I definitely want to know more about these homeworld gems that may just be breezed over really quick. And as new gems and characters pile up, does it make it increasingly difficult for our favorite characters to get some spotlight? Our favorite characters outside of the main cast of the Crystal Gems, like Lapis, like Peridot. And although some people took my personal feelings towards Lapis the wrong way, I feel as though she is a very complicated character, and so considering her conflictions and the inner struggle that they attempt to portray, then we can't afford to neglect this character. We can't afford to put her on the back burner when new gems are introduced into the story and have their own problems and their own conflictions. And while on the topic of Lapis, I want to address the sort of notion that every new gem that comes out is going to become a crystal gem. And I'll say that in general, I definitely agree with the sentiment that Lapis put forth in the episode Room for Ruby. Converting a gem to a crystal gem is a very gradual process. Because think about it, these gems have been following the same system for possibly thousands of years. And so to give up on that and try something new is definitely very hard, and considering how they are trained, it's sort of like outside of their programming. Although they're not completely like robots or servants fully, a mentality mirroring that is definitely there. And you know, humans are typically the same, afraid to try new things and mix it up and go out of their comfort zone. And that statement applies to even like a gambler, because once you become accustomed to gambling, once your body becomes used to it, it's not really a gamble. I mean, you could be throwing up God knows what in exchange for whatever you're trying to ascertain, but you're mentally prepared for it. You've been through this multiple times over, so it's not the same as just out of nowhere spontaneously deciding to throw everything on the line. And in the case of Peridot's transition from a homeworld gem into a crystal gem, there are many variables that sort of pushed her in that direction. And when it comes to that, I have to agree with Jasper. It's when a gem is at their lowest point, when they are worthless, when they're nothing, is when it's easiest to convert them into a crystal gem. Because Peridot was totally out of options. She was already captured, she lost her limb enhancers, and she was in a remote world that she didn't understand. And within this time frame of vulnerability, although some of her homeworld delusions were still intact, she was still very susceptible to the mental state of the crystal gems. She had already begun to change, and even though she did get in contact with Yellow Diamond, she changed enough to be able to see a difference in her diamond. The all-knowing rational decider that she once perceived was a facade. She realized that Yellow Diamond was not looking at this objectively, but rather subjectively, causing her to rebel. And now think about that. An entire character arc was dedicated to Peridot, and she changed. I don't think that we have enough time with this series to do that with each individual gem. Peridot so far is the only new member that the Crystal Gems have seen in thousands of years. I personally don't consider Lapis a crystal gem just yet because she doesn't consider herself a crystal gem. She has not yet vocalized her allegiance to the crystal gems. She has not proclaimed herself to be a crystal gem. So regardless of whether or not she has a star or not, that doesn't really matter until she decides, hey, I am a crystal gem. And with a ton of new gems, will we have time for that? Will we be able to see Lapis proclaim this if our focus is shifted to all of these new gems who may in fact become our favorites, who we may be like, oh my god, I love this gem, I want more from her. And man, I hope we never reach a point where we're like the diamonds, where we just can't tell the difference between these gems because we have too many. And so once again guys, that question still stands. How many gems is too many gems? Can we handle an influx of new gems? Because I'm really scared we're gonna reach a point of neglect where your favorite new gem is not gonna get the spotlight, because these episodes are 11.5 minutes. I don't think we have that much time to focus on them individually. And I don't think that the show is going to sacrifice those Beach City Citizen episodes for, solely a gem related show. Although ever since the end of season 1, they sort of trashed that whole fantasy element that the show had going on, where they would find, gem artifacts and things like that. So I suppose it's possible, but with an episode upcoming called The Show, I don't think they're gonna get rid of all the human episodes. I think that they need the human episodes to sort of balance things out. Oh, and for the record, I'm not just talking about the homeworld gems we're gonna see in Steven Universe Wanted. I'm talking about the future and even cured corruption gems, because we have a ton of corrupted gems that I want to see come back. In fact, I'm gonna have an entire video dedicated to just that, so make sure you're on the lookout. Anyways guys, I've rambled on long enough. I just want to make sure that I'm not the only one who's feeling this way towards, new gems, because it's hype, it's cool, I really want to see them, but I don't want them to be neglected. Thank you so much for watching, and have an awesome day. I love you.